let's get into this Feywild. Let's jump to this Feywild with both feet and see where we land. So, the congressional hearing for General Milley, Secretary Austin, occurred today. And of course, yesterday, you had the the putting in the brig of Lieutenant Colonel Scheller. Where do we begin with this little story? So, here's something that I think everyone can agree upon. It just depends on to what degree it occurred. But General Milley, Mr. I've read Mao. I want to understand white rage. That guy apparently felt that Donald Trump said that he was going to launch a nuke at China and felt so scared and, wanted to calm down his mirror, I guess, if you will, his mirror commander, his opposite, I should say, in China, the PLA, and called up this Chinese general and said, hey, make sure, ma. Make sure, nothing's going to happen, this and that. Okay. Everybody has my back channels, though. The thing is, General Milley will be hated by most people. And apart from boomer Dems and, just general shitlibs, he will not be well liked. General Milley will be no different than General Petraeus, no different than any other general, including former General Austin, who, did work, for, defense contractors. General Milley will be no different. He will find a way into a think tank, find some way into, the private sector and make a boatload of money. But nobody will care about that. Nobody will care. Nobody will. Lieutenant Colonel Scheller. Lieutenant Colonel Scheller. I think that he had one good thing to say about what happened, and I think that he went off the deep end a bit, and he is now going to be used as a symbol to basically start sweeping up the trash. It's going to be used that, once again, it's the idea that any sort of extremist who happens to be in the military, those folks will be pushed out of the military. They will either find some way to kick them out, or they will give them humiliating jobs, which will cause them to leave. I say this because this is somewhat personal, and this is more of an anecdotal story, but I'll say it nonetheless. My friend, who was a Marine captain, got tired of the bullshit. He ended up leaving the Marine Corps. And now he's, as far as I know, he is in the private sector. So, hey, good for him. He's got kids to raise, this and that. So, do what you got to do. But the thing is this. The United States will become the hypocrite that it always has been. Well, it's going to be the hypocrite it always was. The idea of the clean wehrmacht. We see all this defense of, the situation. We see all this defense of America. Everything has to be defended. Oh, we have to, defend the Constitution and all this. We see all this pitiful bullshit. And we see this lawyer here, this very smug ex-military lawyer who said, what we learned today, Austin and Milley wanted to leave 2,500 troops in Afghanistan indefinitely. Trump, Biden, 95% of Congress, and 85% of the American people disagreed. Now that the Afghan government fell in 11 days, all Republicans now say Biden should have followed their advice. The thing is this, is we see a country that once again is ripping at the seams. And what will happen is this. People will just disappear. Either in the sense that they are going to get killed mysteriously, or we will, use, prestidigitation as a magician would, and we're going to create another problem so that that other stuff can get quietly hushed up. It's basically between COVID-19 and our response in Afghanistan right now. You see, people will... I'm trying to be very careful about what I say here, because you have to be. But the thing is that General Milley is no different than a Heinz Guderian. Heinz Guderian, who was, of course, the great mind of the Panzer forces. There was a little-known slush fund that the Wehrmacht was given. I cannot remember what it was, and a lot of those records disappeared, as many German records were during the Second World War, apart from the Holocaust ones. I know we're not gonna go wig that. Don't worry. But this slush fund allowed, for example, that Heinz Guderian was to be basically given his own property in Poland. And he was going to have this palatial mansion, all this sort of thing. And other generals and field marshals were promised these things as well. And there was a private slush fund where this could occur. Nothing really out of the ordinary necessarily. This has happened throughout history, right? Where, General, if you do this for us, then you'll get all this land, etc., etc. You can find these examples throughout history, scattered. What I would say now, and of course people like, General Halder, people like him, they promoted the idea of a clean Wehrmacht. They knew damn well what occurred. They knew about the Einsatzgruppe, and they knew about the hangings. They knew about the burning of villages, all that sort of thing. They knew. They knew damn well. But they were able to keep enough moralism to say, we're not the real bad ones. It's the SS that did it. It's just the SS. They did it too. They did it too. The thing is this. Hey, what's going on, Mad Baron? How are you? The thing is this. So General Milley, I think, is a very disgusting person. There are a lot of people who are defending him, I think, not because they love him, but because they just want to dab on the Trumpers. They want to dab on the MAGA peons. There are plenty of boomer shitlibs who genuinely think that, he was doing the right thing. But the thing is, though, General Milley was no MacArthur. He wasn't even a Mark Clark. General Milley has joined the vast majority of generals who know how to give the speeches and who know how to give the prepared talking points. And he will get a private job where he is continuing to promote war in a different way. Same as General Petraeus, same as all these other generals. Just Petraeus is the more recognizable one. I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good, actually. But we see this stuff. And I think of what the future will be like for the United States military. When the United States military will have to come in and will have to put down resistance movements in the United States, if it came to that. And how it was necessary to do this. And you'll see all the mainstream lefties suddenly be like, yeah, it's okay that the U.S. military did that. It's okay that the U.S. military came in and burned whole cities down. It was necessary. That's what they'll say. It was necessary for them to do that. Because we were protecting American freedom. The thing is this, is that you're seeing a lot of dissent that occurs, and you're seeing a lot of people upset for various reasons, but they want to still keep up the lie. They want to keep up the lie that America is this great thing and that it suits everybody. Most Americans don't believe that. They stay here because this is all they know. I stay here because it's all I know, because I know I wouldn't make it in China. I wouldn't make it in Germany. I wouldn't make it anywhere else. And while I despise many aspects of it, it's that I've given in and that I've been broken. So I've accepted it. And I smile and I say, yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. Yes, sir. No, sir. I say, sure. No problem. I got you. We see the General Milleys and the Secretary Austins make their excuses. They say, well, this is what it's about, etc., etc. And we see people like General Milley who will retire, as I've repeated already, but he's going to retire and he's going to make good money being part of some foundation, or maybe he'll be given the vice presidency of a bank somewhere. Because why not? You know, the thing is that it's amazing to me how Americans will look down and say, well, how did the general become a president or something like that? Of course, apart from people like Eisenhower or Washington or whomever else, but we see that as a banana republic. But when a general leaves and is able to flaunt the rules of being out of the military a certain amount of time before you get a civilian or a governmental civilian job, flaunting those rules, it's okay. And we're talking, of course, about Secretary Austin now. The thing is this, it's a good thing we left Afghanistan. It is. It is a good thing. I think that generally speaking, that's what it should be. I'm not going to sit here necessarily beyond all the whatever you want to say is that, yeah, the Taliban is ultimately from the same root as Al-Qaeda, same thing as these other Salafist groups, which do not truly represent Islam, either Sunni or Shia. But the fact is that the United States is, having growing pains, if you will. More like shrinking pains more than anything else. Growing. No, the U.S. is shrinking. The U.S. can no longer inflict its will the way it used to. It does not have that sort of power. This is a country that is an empire, that is slowly constricting itself. And people are desperately desperately trying to redefine the United States in more appropriate terms. They're trying to define it as an accepting country and all this sort of thing. We're accepting of these ideas. You know, we have to be accepting of everybody and all these things. We've seen the vaccine mandate, and thousands have left their jobs because they refuse a vaccine. We see these things occurring. We see many people who have nothing left to lose. Now, will this amount to anything? Or will these folks simply be marginalized to the point that they will get nothing? Who knows? Some can be bought off. Some can be. And right now, I think people are trying to figure out which ones can be bought off and which ones cannot. But we see we see all this breaking down and all this sort of, this defense, this very miserable defense of these people. We see this miserable defense of, people like General Milley, who do not deserve to be greeted as a hero. He doesn't. You can go ahead and say he was playing the game all you want to. Oh, well, he did this. He should have been in longer. We don't care. General Milley will be the same as the rest. Lt.Col Scheller, for whatever he does, will probably either be forced to be like I don't know. He'll be like a Fox News correspondent, and then he's going to say something that's even too wild for Fox News. He's going to be like he's going to be working for Alex Jones doing bits, That's going to be real sad. But that's probably what may happen to him, unfortunately. Or they may just kill him. Who knows? Now, I'm being very careful in my words. I'm not saying, oh, I fully agree with them. No, absolutely not. I do not. What I will say is that Lt.Col Scheller, I think, was disappointed. I think he was disappointed in everything. And felt disillusioned. I think because of that, you could say he was mentally ill or that he was high or whatever in other videos where, the chessboard was in front of him, et cetera, et cetera. But we see, but that's looking through it in a very simplified way. I'm going to try to look at it in a slightly bigger picture. Is that he questioned what occurred and why are leaders not being questioned on this. We see this. We have seen for the past maybe 20 or even 30 years, maybe even 40 or 50, the self-flagellation of the West in terms of racism, the rise of fascism, or whatever the case may be. We see all this, and all we can do is stand on the sidelines or make Substacks about it or whatever, make our funny tweets on Twitter. But nobody can really do anything because they know that people may feel a certain way. But the way the system works now is that everybody is beholden to this financial system, to the US dollar. So because of that, everyone has to keep their mouth shut. Bills need to be paid. child support checks have to be sent out, etc., etc., etc. So we give in. And it makes people feel impotent, to say the least. It makes people feel impotent. A lot of dead air. I apologize, folks. I'm trying to think very carefully about my words, and also I'm scrolling through Twitter a little bit. But it's disappointing to say the least. And I knew I was going to find some eventual people who are going to say that Scheller is a nutcase or Scheller is violating military law or, UCMJ rules and everything else. And maybe they're right. What I will say, though, is that what are they holding on to? What system are they holding on to? They don't know. They're holding on to an idea that's long gone. And I don't think that's crazy talk. I think it's very true. The folks who support this system currently desperately want to try to have an internal bloodless, quote unquote, revolution to try and make things a little bit nicer. They're trying to present capitalism, or they're trying to present capitalism with a smile, with a human face. That's what they're trying to do. They don't want to get rid of capitalism. MLs will at least try to be a little bit more principled, but they have no support, and overall they give into these ideas that, decolonialization is the way to go, decolonization is the way to go, that sort of thing, right? So they are on the margins. Same thing with Wignats, though. They're on the margins as well. They don't have any power. The mainstream is a reform of the system. No matter what Biden does, no matter what occurs with this country, with thousands of layoffs, thousands of people are leaving their jobs, we have to stay the course, right? We're going back to GW. GW, of course, is now seen as a hero. Many people have been manipulated to believe that reformism is the way to go. And I think it's too late for that. We've had reforms. The reforms made things worse. Now, I don't think that revolution is going to be some great positive thing. Absolutely not. It will be horrible. It will be awful. There will be dictators. There will be warlords. Absolutely. But this is just the normal course of countries. This is the normal course of things. Much as China was seen as the sick man of Asia and what they would call the 100 years of humiliation, the United States will have its time of humiliation. We are in the middle of it right now. This is simply the course of countries. It's all it is. It is simply the course of countries. Now, do I think the United States is going to grow strong and powerful like China is growing? I don't know about that. I think the United States, personally, I've always believed in the idea of balkanization. I've backed off it because I don't think it's possible right now. But I don't think that there's any way that we could hold together as one nation in any realistic way. What unifying force is there? What is it? The dollar? Football? What is that unifying force? I don't see it. The idea that we want to keep this system so that we can have our shrimp from Louisiana shipped to us to shipped out to Wyoming. I don't know. That's the real question, isn't it? I've asked that before. What is holding this country together? Money? The idea of just maintaining what you have while everything is crumbling around you? But people will still defend Biden. They'll still defend the system. Even my mom laughs at that. She's watching something else, though. We see a system that cannot sustain itself. Now, this is very rambly. This is very whichever. I'm sure people will see this one and they'll see the previous video and they'll be like, you talk a lot about race. I mean, or you said that race, You can say what you will. Go ahead and put what you will into this and say, you're a hypocrite. And I'll say, yeah, I am. I am a hypocrite. I am absolutely a hypocrite. Yeah, I am. Not going to blame anybody, not going to cope. I'll just be like, yeah, I am. What of it? What are you going to do about it? But we see something that is going through the motions. We see a country that has stripped itself of its medals in many ways and said, we don't deserve to, be this or be that. And you'll see many folks, I'm sure, the neocons and even a lot of the libs who are going to say, the United States doesn't deserve to exist as a nation. Because the thing is that they can blame white supremacy. They can blame all of that. But the thing is, though, even a lot of libs have admitted that just because white people go away, so to speak, wink, wink, that white supremacy doesn't go away. It's baked into the system. So you can be an Asian white supremacist, a Hispano white supremacist, et cetera, et cetera. You can be a black white supremacist. Like Larry Elder. But this is what they're trying to, they're trying to drum up this hatred to say that it's all around us. Fascism is in your soup. Nazis are in your soup. No, they aren't. A lot of them are controlled opposition. They are agent provocateurs who don't have any real power. You think Richard Spencer has any power? No. Do you think that NJP has any power? National Justice Party? No. You think Patriot Front? You think they have any power? Absolutely not. They are there to keep a minority of retards who want to spurg out and, think that somehow they're going to preserve Western whatever. They think they're going to preserve that or something. I mean, I don't really think that's what they just want to kill people. I get it. But they don't have the cojones to do that. The fact is that there could be a collapse. There could just be an implosion where the government just decides, screw it. The money isn't worth anything. Go at it, and just allow things to happen. Who knows? There are a lot of scenarios that people are wondering. People would probably, ignorantly compare this to like the 1960s. No, at least in the 1960s, there's genuine idealism. What exists right now is not idealism. What exists right now is opportunism. There are many people who try to lie to you to pretend like they actually want to, change the system. No, they don't. People like Vosh do not want to change the system. People like Owen Jones don't want to change the system. They claim to be Trotskyists. They claim to be whatever. They don't want that. They just want to be able to have their weird sex stuff and not be arrested for it, and to not feel guilty about it through Christianity or whatever religion that is holding them back. That's what it is. They don't want to change anything. It's disappointing. It's disappointing. It's defeating. It's blackpilling. But this is where we are. And all we can do is just wait and see how the winds blow. All you can do is wet your finger and take a feel of the winds and see where things are going. And that's all you can do. You cannot claim the one thing or the other for fear of being arrested or being alienated. You just simply nod your head and you smile and you just say, oh yeah, yep, you bet. And then you walk away as soon as you can. It's all you can do. Realistically, most people are going to do that. They're not going to be like, yeah, right on, brother. Yeah, those damn evil Republicans. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. He's very, very tiring. This is a time of building up strength. This is a time of finding who your real friends are. It's a time of buildup. It's a time like when squirrels are collecting all their acorns for the winter. Left wing, genuine left wing, and genuine right wing, or whichever you want to say, are going to be gathering up information. They're going to find, hopefully, somewhat new narratives and see where that goes. While the normies beat themselves senseless over Democrat and Republican, the internal wars in the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, whether it's Liz Cheney, suddenly supporting gay rights, much like her father did, and, being against Trump, or the Democratic fighting going on because Biden isn't going far enough, because he's not providing, he's not helping to bring about these changes, or blaming two Congress people. They put everything on Christian Cinema and what's his name, the goober, whatever that goober's name is. They blame everything on them. It's all their fault. That's what a lot of commentators are saying. It's their fault. Manchin, that's it, Joe Manchin. Couldn't think of it. But it's all Joe Manchin's and Cinema's fault. Nobody else's. Pullout of Afghanistan occurred. General Milley, a couple years, will get to retire and get to his nice little cushy job. And the next person can move up and say the same things that he did, etc., etc. And we will see more people purge from the military. And the military will become more and more ineffective. You will have a military that will hate itself in some ways. The economy, good luck. All I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen, who am I kidding? Gentlemen, that keep your powder dry. Keep your political opinions to yourself and only talk with those you are 100%, even 125%, even 150% sure that they are perfectly okay with what you are saying and that they're not going to rat you out. Make sure and gather those who are your friends and calmly speak about these things privately as you can, without being fed posty, without the internet. Go back to the old days, meeting up in a bar or meeting at somebody's house. Do it as informal as possible, if that's what you feel the need to, and talk about things. Don't start putting on camouflage. Just talk and see where that takes you. Now, mind you, I don't encourage this. I am simply stating something you could do. This is purely hypothetical. Purely. My opinion is this. We see the issues that are occurring in this country. Everybody has a different answer, or but they get funneled into one group or the other. It's always a dichotomy of either revolution or reform, that America still deserves to be a thing. We just need to change, we just need to tweak some things here and there. This will do no good. You cannot put lipstick on a pig. And that's what you would be doing with reform in the United States. You can go ahead and get rid of the Electoral College. Go ahead and change up the filibuster rules. Go ahead. Do those things. Go ahead. And you will have more alienation. You will have more radicalism than you'll have ever imagined. I don't really know where I'm going with this. I guess I'll finish up here. That we see a very bleak future, regardless of whether you're left wing or right wing, or whatever you may be. And you see a system that is limping along. And you say, this is as good as it's going to get. And that's all you can say. Sad stuff. Yeah, I can't disagree with any of it, though. Yeah, well, I appreciate that, James Russell. I can't, yeah. All I can tell you is be mindful. Do not become somebody who is angry at the world because of it. Do not treat people with malice. You should still treat people as the best that you can. Just be realistic and blunt. You can't drink the problems away. You can't throw money at it. We're taking all this cold turkey. We're taking it all with no chaser. We're just taking the bottle straight down. And it's going to be a rough ride. But once we sober up, or enough of us sober up from our stupor, I think I've somewhat sobered up from my stupor. Sometimes I'll fall off the wagon, but generally speaking, I think I've sobered up. Once we've done that, I think that we will have a much clearer perspective. But we can see more properly what can be done. But right now, it is we cannot see the forest through the trees right now because of all the infighting and everything else, right? But I think in time, many things will get herded out. And I think both sides, or however many sides there are, will finally just accept things as they are. And they'll want to make change. Genuine change, not just LARPing. The AOCs will be gone. The scapegoats like Cinema and Mansion will be gone. And all we can do is look at the country for ourselves. And look at it without the rose-colored glasses, without the beer goggles, and say, what have we done? By then, it may be too late. But maybe in a different time, in a different place, maybe we have learned something. Or maybe not. And we continue on doing the same stuff. But I would hope that we learn something from all this. And maybe, just maybe, at least briefly as it may be, that we learn something. And our future generations will do something smarter. Probably not, but it's worth a shot. That's all I got. You know, General Milley, I do want to reiterate this. General Milley is no good. Scheller fell down a rabbit hole that I don't think he'll ever get out of. And the United States military is no different than the German wehrmacht, at least in my opinion. They can claim it's clean and claim that they were good and they were upstanding. They are no different. And all we can do is just accept that and keep going. Anyway, that's all I got. See you later. Goodbye.